Floyd, wow. Well, as you may or may not know, I used to decide on a whole month of talk titles ahead of time so that we could put them out on our LED sign outside, and it might inspire you as you drove by to come to a Sunday service or to watch live stream. But now that we've got our quarterly newsletter, we're including 3 whole months of talk titles to intrigue you way ahead of time. And often over the years, what I've noticed is I choose a talk title that I think it's going to be about one thing. And then as I sit down to prepare it for the coming Sunday, it turns out to be about something else. And especially if something has occurred in my personal life or in the world. Now, as it's already been mentioned, the title of today's talk is Cool Your Jets. And it's a phrase that Abraham Hicks uses a lot, in many different ways. But when I chose it as today's talk title, way back in March, it was my intention that we would have a conversation about the importance of patience in our life. The humorist Arnold Henry Glasow, who wrote his first book, Glasow's Gloom Buster, at the age of 92. And he wrote, "The key to everything is patience. You get the chicken by hatching the egg, not by smashing it." But how do we learn patience in a don't wait, get it now with free overnight shipping included world? How do we learn not to smash the egg when the world seems to offer us so much so quickly, except for peace and unity, no matter how many opportunities we've had collectively to change everything in the blink of an eye? If getting things from the world is important to us, then there's a lot of stuff that we can get quickly. But a change in the behavior of another is not one of them. But if gaining spiritual awareness that changes us and the way that we experience life is important to us, then there are plenty of opportunities in this world to help us to expand and grow spiritually as quickly as we allow them to. The unspeakable violence that occurred last week in Texas, that many are speaking of anyway, and often in angry, accusatory ways, has put an emphasis on today's talk to be a call to all of us to live each day, no matter what occurs in the world each day, with the spiritual intention of being a place where love and peace come into the world. When something horrific happens, especially to children, our first reaction is naturally shock and sadness and even rage. What happens after that within us, after that first reaction, is up to us. We can continue to focus on those thoughts and those feelings, but such continued focus serves only to perpetuate pain and darkness. Or we can look within ourselves for the light of truth about ourselves and the world so that we can help to uplift it. Our world is calling for love and compassion and peace and joy. When we're willing to let go of our outrage and sadness and blame, it doesn't mean we don't care anymore, and it doesn't mean that we don't feel compassion. It means that we are allowing the God of all creation to answer the call for love through us. We are one life and one love together. The Persian poet Rumi wrote, "In a night full of pain and darkness, be a candle, spreading light until dawn." The innocence of children always touches our hearts. We love to hear them laugh and giggle about things, only they know why they're funny. And we love the straightforward questions that they ask from their unsullied, innocent minds. Children, for a while, see things differently than we adults do. And they experience the joy that is the true nature of every living being. That's why it's easy for us to see the sweetness of a child, and so much harder for us to see the sweetness that lives in all of us. Adults in charge of laws and policies in many countries demonstrate every day through their interactions with each other the belief that anger and conflict and blame and fighting against one another is the way to solve problems. Movies, TV shows, and video games often tell the same story. Is it any wonder that the youth of today believe that's true? Children learn that there's someone to blame for their pain, someone responsible for the anger that they're feeling, whatever it is they're angry about, and that some action is needed to take the pain away. Many of us have learned that too. How often when things happen in our life that cause us to feel sad or bad, do we look for someone to blame for the way we feel? Some of us right now may want someone to be accountable for last week's tragic manifestation. But each of us is accountable. We're responsible for our own mind and what we offer the world with our thoughts. We're accountable for the thoughts we claim as our own and then focus on and talk about. The Persian poet Shams Tabrizi wrote, "Do not seek heaven or fear hell in the future. Both are already here present." Whenever we learn to love without expectation, without bargaining or negotiation, we are already in heaven. Whenever we let hate rule us and put barriers between our hearts, we are already in hell. Almost immediately after last week's violence against children by children came the adult anger and blame and conflict that served to add more negative energy to a negative situation and to dominate the atmosphere in which our children are learning and growing. Helen Keller said we could never learn to be brave and patient if there were only joy in the world. At this point along our journey together in this human environment, it's likely we all would agree. There's not only joy in the world. This world with its darkness and light, with its duality and opposites and contrast, gives us so many opportunities to learn. If we choose to learn by what happens in our own life, in our country, and in the world. It gives us so much to choose between, so much to ask for that we want to see and experience. Haven't we seen enough contrast to know that peace and unity is what we want? And isn't it time for us to focus on that and only that in our talks, in our conversations with each other, in our mind when we're alone? No matter what negative thoughts we may choose to focus on in our human mind, there's not one of us anywhere in the world that isn't asking for peace and love and joy and safety from a deep spiritual place within us that's eternally centered beyond the human mind and knows all things are possible because it knows that God is all there is. As we ask for the good we want, individually and collectively, it is answered by a universe of love that responds to us. It's answered by the pure, positive energy of life that creates for us. It's answered by the power of God that loves us unconditionally. Now, it may seem to us that there are so many roadblocks and so much road rage on our human journey together these days that learning to be brave and patient, to be hopeful and kind, to be loving and non-judgmental is not possible. But Abraham Hicks tells us you've got to find a way to focus on things that don't put your shield up. And you can do it. But you've got to cool your jets. It's been said that all things are difficult before they become easy. Patience is not simply the ability to wait, but how we behave while we're waiting. When we cool our jets and wait peacefully and patiently for outer change to come, we reflect our conviction that love is all there is, no matter what momentarily appears to be. There wouldn't be any answers for us to want to receive or wait to receive if there were no spiritual questions in our mind. There could be no expansion in our awareness of the unlimited love and peace and joy that we are individually and together. If there were no challenges in this world to cause us to ask for more love and peace and joy to appear. From what appears to be that we don't want to experience or see, we learn what we do want to experience and see. And through our thoughts, and every thought is a prayer, we ask for what we want, and it is given. The universe always, without fail, says yes. Abraham Hicks calls asking step one. Step one isn't hard. I mean, there's plenty of unwanted to inspire our prayers. Step two is the step that belongs to the universe, to the source energy of life, to the power of God that answers prayer. Our part in this human experience of creation and expansion isn't to make things happen through human effort, no matter how sincere our effort may be. It is to ask and receive. We receive by letting in whatever we've asked for, by allowing ourselves to feel the goodness arrive within us even before it appears around us. This is what Abraham Hicks calls step three. We're all good at step one. There's plenty to complain about in this world. But what changes us and what changes the world is step three. It's not simply our ability to wait for change, but how good we feel while we're waiting. Throughout the ages, war and harmful, hurtful, violent behavior has offered us an opportunity to learn what we're made of. Through our deepest sadnesses and sorrows, we've had an opportunity to learn that unity and peace is what we want. Yet war and violence and conflict and blame and division continue. Why? Because we've forgotten step three. We haven't allowed unity and peace to come into our individual awareness so that it can flow through all of us and into the world. A Course in Miracles tells us the first obstacle that peace must flow across is your desire to get rid of it. For it cannot extend unless you keep it. You are the center from which it radiates outward to call the others in. You are its home, its tranquil dwelling place, from which it gently reaches out, but never leaving you. If you would make it homeless, how can it abide within the Son of God? If it would spread across the whole creation, it must begin with you. And from you reach everyone who calls and bring him rest by joining you. each of us is either building more roadblocks and adding to the road rage of our journey together, or we are being a candle, spreading light until dawn. Love and judgment and blame can't live together at the same time. They are opposites that live on opposite sides of town. Will we allow our mind, our city, our country, and our world to be a home where love abides? That's a question that each of us get to answer for ourselves. Our world is calling for love, for compassion, for peace, and for joy that we can offer by allowing the God of all creation to answer that call through us. We can tell by the way we feel how much we are allowing ourselves to receive from the universe that has already answered. From the source energy of life that creates for us. From the power of God that loves us eternally. It's up to each of us to be a place where love and peace enter this world. It's a choice that only we can make for ourselves. But as we do, it's a choice that we make for the world. The poet Rumi wrote, "I prayed for change, so I changed my mind. I prayed for guidance and learned to trust myself. I prayed for happiness and realized I am not my ego. I prayed for peace and learned to accept others unconditionally. I prayed for abundance and realized my doubt kept it out. I prayed for wealth and realized it is my health. I prayed for a miracle and realized I am the miracle. I prayed for a soulmate and realized I am the one. I prayed for love and realized it is always knocking, but I have to allow it in. Namaste." All right. Well, this is the time of our service when we get to say thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for being here. This is a great place to be today. Lovely way to spend part of Memorial Day weekend. And thank you for watching live stream. We missed you last week. And thank you if you're tuning in later this week. We just thank you for wanting to be all you can be in a world that's calling you to be it. And we're grateful to you for supporting this message that is a message of love and unity. And if you don't know how to support LEC so we can keep doing what we do, then nobody does it better than our treasurer in letting you know just how to do that. Jamie Phillips.
Thank you, Jim. This looks good on me. Hi, everyone. let me tell you some ways that you can give. If you're here in the sanctuary, we're going to have our gratitude receiver, Janice, coming forward and collecting. If you're at home, you can donate on Facebook at facebook.com/Life Enrichment Center. You can go to our website, lecflint.com, and hit the contribute button. If you'd like to donate on PayPal, our email address is lec2512@gmail.com, and you can contribute that way, or you can send a check to the sanctuary at 2512 South Dye Road, Flint, Michigan, 48532. And while we're doing the collection here in the sanctuary, we're going to listen to Grateful by Nima Patel and Daniel Namad. And then after that, Reverend Stephanie will do a gratitude prayer for us. Thank you.